Next on Worcester News Tonight, members of the Plumley Clinic Coalition bringing their concerns to the City Council over the closing of their community health center. Plus, Worcester looking to acquire more land to protect city water supply. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. The Plumley Village Health Center is now a month away from shutting its doors permanently. Tuesday, a coalition brought their concerns to the City Council meeting and rallied in downtown Worcester. The group says closing the community health center puts a large number of patients without the proper services, and the city needs to help. Our Cam Jandro joins us now live with the details. Cam?
Anna, City Councilor Sarai Rivera is asking the city manager to work with UMass so come July when the center closes its doors, patients don't just fall through the cracks. Now tonight, the coalition hosting a rally in front of City Hall in hopes of spreading that message.
Plumley Village Health Center is set to close in a month. Employees and patients are afraid of what it will mean for their neighborhood.
They don't know where to go, they don't know who to talk to. Lots of them have language issues and cultural issues that become barriers to them finding and accessing health care on their own.
The Plumley Clinic Coalition rallied in front of Worcester City Hall Tuesday. The group says nearly 2,000 people will have to find new services and says half of the patients speak little to no English.
I'm just hoping that this creates the awareness that's necessary for health equity, the discrepancies in terms of race, I think, and class.
In a statement, UMass Memorial Medical Center says, "We are committed to helping the Plumley Village Health Services patients find new providers. We have staff available to explain the process to these patients and to answer any of their questions." The center's community engagement coordinator, Lucelia De Jesus, says adjusting to new providers is what has patients worried.
The first fear was, I'm losing my doctor, because this is a doctor that was with them for many years, for many of them.
UMass Memorial reaffirmed the Plumley Village Center will close in July. The coalition is worried about whether or not patients will have access to proper care by the time it happens.
There's going to be a gap. I mean, it's not officially closed until July 10. So there's that concern because they're still being seen, but there is going to be a gap.
They feel like they've been abandoned by the people who said that they would look out for them.
Now at tonight's City Council meeting, Mayor Joseph Petty saying he'd get in contact with UMass and talk to them about what they're going to do to help these patients. He also went on the record saying this is a big loss for the community. Anna?
Thanks, Cam. Rhode Island stepping up their game in the new PawSox Stadium discussion. House Speaker Nicholas Mattiello announcing Tuesday he's given the okay to a ballpark financing plan. According to the Providence Journal, Mattiello's staff has developed the plan with the PawSox over the last several weeks. The Projo goes on to say the plan includes the team paying $45 million, the state contributing $23 million, and Pawtucket giving $15 million. The team would spend $12 million up front, and the rest of the costs would be financed through bonds issued by the Pawtucket Redevelopment Agency. The plan is expected to be released in new legislation and presented Thursday. Meanwhile, Worcester continues to talk with the team. Maintaining a clean, safe water system is why Worcester is looking to acquire 48 acres of additional watershed in Princeton. DPW Commissioner Paul Moosey says the first line of defense in providing clean, safe drinking water is the reservoir system. Moosey says pollutants come from development and housing, and keeping construction away from the water will keep pollutants out of it. He says this land in Princeton is important because it surrounds a brook which is a direct tributary to the Quinnipoxet Reservoir.
Our water system 150 years ago now, they had the foresight to start protecting those waters, and that's why we have the high quality drinking water we have in Worcester. And the way we're going to protect that is to keep, where we can, add on to the protective zone around those watersheds.
Moosey says over the last 15 years, they protected more than 1,000 acres. If the city goes through with the purchase of $360,000, it will be reimbursed half under a grant through the State Department of Environmental Protection. Switching gears, a 31-year-old woman involved in a serious motorcycle crash this morning has died. Worcester police say she was taken to the hospital where she died several hours later. The incident happened on Plantation Street just after 10 a.m. According to police, a 79-year-old woman was making a left turn onto Interstate 290 West ramp when the motorcycle collided with her vehicle. The elderly woman did remain on scene. A witness and woman who knew the victim say many people pulled over to help the 31-year-old who was face down on the roadway, not moving. The crash reconstruction unit was on scene for several hours following the crash.
Mechanical inspection conducted to see if any mechanical deficiencies may have been a factor leading up to the crash. So the investigation is still ongoing. There's no citations issued at this time, although that may change as the investigation moves forward.
Police say they'll be talking with witnesses to determine if speed or additional factors played a role in the crash. 4 firefighters are injured and almost 40 residents are displaced during a morning fire in Worcester. Today's heat making conditions even more difficult for firefighters. Olivia Lemon has the story.
Worcester firefighters work to stay cool, battling a 3-alarm fire at this apartment building on Main Street.
Because of the heat, the labor intensity of this, and the amount of rooms that had to be checked, we then struck a 3rd alarm to bring more manpower in.
Deputy Chief Martin DYER says 3 firefighters were hospitalized for minor injuries and 1 was treated on scene for heat exhaustion.
Anytime you get over 70 degrees and it's sunny, it's very difficult to fight the fire with this gear.
The fire broke out on the 4th floor of the building. Catherine Rodriguez says she smelled something funny and opened her door to a cloud of smoke.
I got my kids out and put them in the car, ran back in, tried to knock on a couple doors. Ran back out.
Chief DYER says everyone made it out of the building safely and firefighters were able to rescue a dog, but another died in the fire.
I'm just glad besides that everybody else was okay.
DYER says the building suffered substantial water and smoke damage and it's unclear when all of the residents will be able to get back inside.
We know of at least 20 people that are displaced at this point, and utilities are shut off to the building.
The cause of the fire is under investigation. Congressman Jim McGovern weighing in on the on-again, off-again meeting between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. President Trump withdrew from a planned summit with Kim Jong-un, citing hostile North Korean comments. He has since said the meeting in Singapore could still happen. McGovern says he hopes it still happens, but says he'd feel better if there was more preparation.
Well, I get a little bit worried when you run international affairs like it's a TV reality show. I mean, this is, I want this summit to succeed. I want to figure out a way to be able to deal with North Korea's, nuclear arsenal. But these meetings require preparation, and it seems like everybody's just kind of winging it. And so, look, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, and I'm going to hope for the best.
McGovern says if the plan is to denuclearize, there needs to be a plan in place, and it could take time. Worcester County inmates worked to clean up the community Tuesday. Inmates were in the Canal District removing graffiti from several different businesses, doing their part to keep gang signs and other tags out of the city. Our Chandler Walsh has the story.
More graffiti is popping up in Worcester.
I'm getting frustrated with all the graffiti on the buildings.
It's definitely the warmer weather is when you see an influx of it.
The Worcester County Sheriff's Office's graffiti removal unit was cleaning buildings in the Canal District Tuesday. This is their 4th year and they've cleaned around 100 properties across the county. Sheriff Lou Evangelitis says the graffiti is a public safety concern.
You don't want gangs coming into a territory, marking territory. You don't want that in your neighborhood.
The inmates are using garnet to remove tags. The tough mineral gets in cracks and grooves to shave down a layer of brick, and in just minutes the graffiti is removed, saving property owners hours of time and money.
No building owner wants to incur the cost of cleaning up the property just because someone tagged it for 15 seconds and then we spend 4 hours removing graffiti.
Edward Murphy owns multiple properties in the Canal District. He says he's already had about 10 tags on 2 of his buildings and is thankful for the Sheriff's Office's work. The DPW says they will clean up graffiti on public property, but if it's on private property, it's up to the owner.
The city has a nuisance inspector that goes around, they notice it, they send you a letter. You have a certain period of time to clean it up. If you don't clean it up, they'll actually bring you into court, fine you, and get an order to remove it.
The Sheriff's Office says they do their best to stay on top of graffiti removal because once there's one tag, more follow. They say cleaning them up helps the entire community.
When the graffiti's on this building, it doesn't just affect this building. It affects the building across the street, it affects the building down the street.
Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
A woman is lucky to be alive thanks to an off-duty firefighter working at a restaurant. He says he doesn't deserve any credit. It's all in a day's work. Our Rosalind Flaherty has the story.
Johnny True is being called a hero at Eller's restaurant in Leicester after he saved a woman's life.
Right place, right time, and I jumped on it.
The part-time Leicester firefighter was working at his job as a line cook when a woman in the restaurant started choking. He sprang into action, seen in this video, running from the kitchen to perform the Heimlich maneuver.
It took me 7 or 8 thrusts to dislodge whatever the piece of food was.
Once the woman was okay, he says she thanked him and he went back to work like nothing happened.
I asked Johnny, you need a couple minutes, want to go take a breath, and it's like, no, I'm good.
True says he wasn't looking for any praise. He was trained to do the Heimlich when he was young, but never had to use it until now. And says being a firefighter, he felt like he needed to do something.
It's always good to have that stuff underneath your belt. Get the food out and do it right. That's really what's going through your head.
The owners posted about the incident on social media to give him the credit he deserves, and says they're lucky to have a well-trained firefighter on their team.
He's a very humble person who did a really outstanding thing.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.